TYRANIDS. No, it's Bricky, but we're starting with the TYRANIDS. If you watched my last Bricky video, you know why I'm doing these so far apart. It's because I refuse to live in the Warhammer corner of YouTube. As much as I love visiting the Warhammer corner of YouTube, I want to be in all the corners of YouTube. In fact, I want to watch everything! Man, I love throwing that one in there. I think we got two of these left. This one and one more, and we'll be done with this Bricky video. A lot of people though are actually saying that this is outdated because of something that has recently been introduced, has changed the story or adjusted the story or something. Other people are also saying that he's not the best guy for this stuff, and like, that's fair, but I'm having a good time watching him talk about these things. I think he's pretty funny, and even though some parts of it I don't think are particularly digestible, I like the format as he goes through each of these different factions, so I'm happy to finish off this video. A lot of people are excited about orcs. I don't know. I know orcs from Lord of the Rings. I don't know other orcs. The TYRANIDS were the eat your face ones from the one Caiaphas Cain book that I read. Did they eat faces? Did they like steal your power when they ate your face? I don't remember. I don't know, but I did enjoy that book enough to want to read the second one, but never actually followed through. I'm reading The Blacksmith Queen right now. I've actually been in a bit of a reading slump, and I think it's because I want to write, but I have to wait till the end of May to really dive into writing, as I'm doing a lot of work trying to backlog some videos so that I have a little less pressure when I go to school in September, which is very exciting for me. I'll talk more about that later on this channel and even more on my second channel, HS Paisley. Also, you guys aren't the right people to ask, but since I'm wasting your time here, and as always, there's timestamps in the description if you want to skip ahead right to the reaction. I kind of want to rename my other channel. It's not super big right now. I'm still under 10,000 subscribers, and right now it's called HS Paisley, and I kind of want to call it HS Paisley Makes Mistakes. But how do we feel about that? Also, let me know if you're subscribed to both my channels. Thank you so much if you are. Yeah, I kind of want to call it HS Paisley Makes Mistakes, and then maybe take off the HS one day so it's Paisley Makes Mistakes, but I don't know. I have it as HS Paisley now because, drumroll please, if you did not know, I am a self-published author. I actually publish as HS Paisley. Bloodkin and Curses is my most recent novel, and it follows a story of a girl named Dyson Blake as she's turned into a vampire and has to discover a world she never knew existed while trying to avoid an ancient curse. My first two novels, Magic Required and Dominion Required, follow a character named Lachlan Allele as he tries to seek a redemption he is not sure he deserves. The Lachlan series and the Dyson series are adjacent series. It doesn't matter what order you read them in. You can read Bloodkin and Curses first if that sounds more interesting to you. I did write Magic Required first, Dominion Required second. Anyways, you're not here to talk about my books. You're here to watch me suffer at the hands of the great and powerful Bricky and the Warhammer 40K universe, because I am tanky and squishy. Does that make sense? Okay. TYRANIDS. Look at this guy's tongue.
With me, Mom. They following me.
I would not want
the bugs.
I would not want that following me.
TYRANIDS. Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the TYRANIDS. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40K game in the beginning, hence why they look so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man.
Oh!
Like, Space Marine-y, those Marines, huh? They look a little bit Space Marine-y to me. Maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? TYRANIDS are a giant infestation of
disgusting,
unfathomable proportions.
Everything
These are
in this
giant,
place is
extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that
like
are basically all about absorbing as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extremely potent and powerful.
Oh my god, they are like the Borg.
And eat anything in their path. They are probably
they
the least evil faction in all of 40K because all they want to do is eat shit. They want to nom nom the entire galaxy. They hangry and we food. Also, this Tyranid hive mind has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp.
I can't stop looking at the
when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp, because you need that for interstellar travel. So with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes
like
out of orbit
house centipedes.
and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all based on what is important. Tiny little ripper swarms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormigons, Termagants, and Gene Stealers, all the way to the
Gene
Hive
Stealers,
Guard and
that's what was in the book.
and the Swarm Lord, to Hive Tyrants and their giant battle fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Bio Titan. The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle
I don't
all
want to
their
be perfect.
genetic material. Keep feeding them, they'll keep evolving. They keep on creating new horrifying organisms to spread across the galaxy. And you want to know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids
Please tell me.
We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid hive fleets. Behemoth, Kronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets. And they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying, because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids. The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story off of one hive mind genocidal monsters. All these giant bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One-Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little bit more complex, talk Gene Stealer cults.
It has arrived. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. If you've been looking for a sustainable, healthy, easy meal kit, please use the link in the description or go to HelloFresh.com and use the code HannahP16 to get 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. This is actually my first time using a meal kit and was very happy to not only not have to decide what I was gonna eat, because holy decision fatigue, right? Who knew being an adult, the hardest thing was going to be deciding what you ate for dinner every day from now until the end of time. HelloFresh told me what healthy meal I was going to be eating last night, and it was awesome to have this kind of stress-free, healthy choice that didn't really take that long to cook. Somehow, HelloFresh had simultaneously way less packaging than I thought and more than I wanted. But HelloFresh is the first meal kit that is carbon neutral, and nearly all of their packaging is recyclable. The recipes are very simple to follow. As somebody who does cook a lot, it's nice to be able to read the recipe and make my version of it to my preference. It doesn't mean I'm not cooking, you know? It's not the meal pre-made. I still get to make it. HelloFresh has 50 weekly options of what you can choose to eat, so there is a little bit of decision making in there. It was delish. Last night I had this bean, corn, chips thing. It was so good. If this is something that you've been looking into, please take this sponsorship as a sign from the gods that you should try HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com, and be sure to use the code HannahP16 to get 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Thanks again to HelloFresh, and okay, back to the other stuff.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Gene Stealer cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society. And by infecting them, they can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood lords, and I think they're called patriarchs, all can turn an entire world all based into gene stealers, and these are called gene stealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants to the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also have this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the Imperium besides Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school. Asshole. There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale, and all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears.
Oh my god, I thought you said we have given the horror a name. I was like, which horror?
But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey. Tyranids, they're cool. But are they as cool as the orcs?
Every screen's gone red. That means I'm super fast.
Orcs, 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 orcs.
Literally my comment section.
Fucking love orcs.
Yeah, so does my comment section.
The green monsters, the green tide, the green skins. These orcs, they are in fact a race in 40K. The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them. The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are so cool. Orcs don't have philosophy. Orcs don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest orc. You listen to that guy, because he the biggest orc. He big orc. Big orc knows best. You win through the power of imagination. Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an orc, you're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you can. The biggest orc is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me. Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you.
That does sound like the British Empire.
The other orcs, and then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because orc dead. Orcs. They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs.
Oh my god, can you will it?
Is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some orc behind you like, oh Zog, we're out of gas. And the big orc is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orcs are like, oh yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on and it works again. Does it have gas? Probably not. But it works.
I love
the power of imagination.
The power of imagination.
They paint things red because it makes them think they goes faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc? Didn't fucking think so.
Because they're the sneakiest.
Also, like, ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Krorks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things. But they're pretty spooky. They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard. And it's called the Green Tide because there are so many orcs. There are about as many orcs as there are
Not to mention
Tyranids.
all the purple ones.
Maybe more. Who knows? But they keep on, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue. Orcs are entirely
oh my god, are they shooting them through
their stuff
space?
Is slapped together. That makes no sense. Their vehicles don't work the way they're supposed to, but they work because they think it works. They imagine that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the biggest orc. And then if they want to be the biggest orc, they'll challenge the biggest orc. And then when they go and they issue a WA is just war in orcs. They murder everybody and everything in this giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau or anyone in between. They're just so
oh my god, that guy's gonna get eaten by that thing!
That's
right
orcs.
here!
And on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip and they're really fun. I have never met a salty orc player. I have never met someone who plays
salty orc
and is
player.
ever just a bad guy or that guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them, you are completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing.
Okay.
Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything, from the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people. And if you don't, you lose. I mean, that's what you get when you play orcs. That's what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orcs, because
but I am a salty bitch, and I like them.
Roll the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're gonna have fun, and you want to be stupid, and you want to be silly, you're gonna play some damn orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons.
What are we at here? Okay, let's do these Necrons.
The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark again. They have a much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were personally shitty, because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right?
Okay.
These Old Ones were
I don't know what any of those,
strong,
either of those are.
Pretty much omnipotent beings. And they, of course, knew the key to immortality. So the Necrons went to them and said, please, show us your ways. And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not really. They were a lot more humble about it, but they did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well and waged war with them.
Very
kind of
well.
Under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant war with the Old Ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually like a multi-stage war, because during this War in Heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan, or the Catan. These Star Gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too
played that game for the first time last month.
And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey, can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately
well, that's a handy arrangement.
So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap, and the Necrons were dragged in chains to to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell as their
very
souls
Terminator.
were ripped from their body
The look,
and
not the
fed
story.
to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then, with their newfounded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the old ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these old ones. The old ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orcs, to try to fight off the horrifying Necron army and the Catan above them.
So silly, don't be a salty bitch.
And the old ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely
Does that happen a lot? Full races removed?
100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun.
Kind of looks like the diva from Fifth Element,
differences doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point. And as they began just menially fighting each other, the Eldari and the Orcs actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan masters. And this revolt was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering destroy these star gods, they were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Krorks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back, and they see all these primitive races on their lawns.
On their lawns!
And they think, get the fuck off.
Get off my lawn.
The Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, at tabletop, they're a lot like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units to
Oh my
fight
god,
with.
is that painted?
Pretty cool.
Of course it is. I don't know why I asked that. I know
one
it
of
is.
the three major events in 40K. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs I was remade. Here my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life.
Victims of life. That's what I feel like right now. I feel like a victim of life.
Be a tomb world.
Life with you.
Necrons are also
kidding.
pretty smart.
I'm enjoying
Praise
it.
in the Infinite, especially.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Dickheads. But speaking of dickheads, last race.
Last race.
Let's talk.
Okay.
Tau.
Oh. Is this the greater good people?
The formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood. However, a long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40K world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race, blue people, smacking each other with sticks and stones. They thought, dumb Xenos race who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets, being the ethereals, who are actually kind of dicks and like to pull at strings a little bit. But then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together in this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy. The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good.
You know, framed in the right way, that's
generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering
not
like what their
worst
mainly
thing ever.
big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. They got giant mechs with tons of missile pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns and burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields and all this stuff. And that is generally what the Tau's all about.
Is he
But
eating paper?
You're probably thinking, Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil. This doesn't sound very grim, dark Warhammer.
That is my question.
And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grim, dark style like everybody else. They're much more new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40K universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has. They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orks do.
Gross.
And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at range combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat.
Oh.
So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time, because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool and what you like. In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall. You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like the look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is
yeah, rules for life from Bricky here, eh?
But the universe of
do what you
Warhammer
think is cool.
Has so much
unless you're hurting people.
Every faction
don't do that.
Has something
unless it's fake.
Every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing, and horrible, that is the damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these two videos, is anything you could take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much. Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you.
It has.
If you'd like to see more of me, Bricky, you have twitch.tv/Bricky for my streams. You have my merchandise site in which I was wearing all of my merch, but underneath this because I had to wear this so it wasn't black or white for the green screen, which is a little unfortunate, but it's fine. If you'd like to see merch, it is in the description. Also, if you'd like to support me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Bricky for more videos like this, then that would also be wonderful. So Twitch, merch, Patreon, anything if you want to.
He's talking to you guys. He's not talking to me. I mean, I guess he's talking to me, but.
If not, I'm just stoked you got all the way to the end of the video.
Thanks.
And that is enough for me.
So am I.
So, we're going to be having some more content like this out in the future. Thank you so much for sticking around this long.
You are
and,
most
being
welcome.
With me through this pretty rough time.
Facts. It's been
I
rough.
think all I got. Also, before I go, let me leave you with my favorite Warhammer quote.
Okay.
He who scoffs at the power of the last gun has never ran through a field of 1,000 of them. Bye-bye.
That was great. Okay, I am a liar. I finished it all because I was having such a good time. In fact, I dare I say I am a heretic. That was fun. I like the orcs too. I don't really know if I was like blacking out in the middle of that because that was a bit longer, so it was a lot of information. But I didn't really understand why the Tau are evil or bad. Like, I get that they kill people, but from what he said and what I got out of the book, it's like the greater good for the greatest number of people, and that's not always very nice. And it's based on the beliefs of the people who are doing the deciding, right? Which also may not be very nice. But as Bricky said, not like the others. But that was fun. I am both happy and sad that it is over. Not saying that I want to do more. I don't. Ask me in a couple months. Maybe the fantasy side, but like my brain does hurt a little. But that was fun. I definitely didn't expect to watch 25 minutes of that. This is gonna be a long video today. Holy moly, I've been recording for 32 minutes. All right, get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. As Bricky said, thank you so much for getting this far into the video. I really appreciate you guys watching my stuff. Please subscribe if you have not already. I'm trying to get to 100,000. Once I get to 100,000 subscribers, I will be trying a game for real, not a tabletop game. Like a There's some here too, right? Oh, and there's also some down here. I play pinball sometimes. Does that count? All right, I hope you guys are all happy and healthy, taking care of yourselves and each other, being friends instead, and as always, until next time, may the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and I'll be back.